So you don't want just any smartphone. What you want is the best. Camera, battery, processor, display, the full package. And you think this could be it. Welcome to Orbit, here's my review. The Galaxy S24 Ultra is pretty, no, it's a damn big phone. And because it's boxy, it even feels a bit bigger than it actually is. If you have a case on it, it fills out your whole pocket. I prefer rounded smartphones, but I do have to admit that it looks very elegant. Design-wise, the back is the same as last year and the year before that, but the frame is now made out of a new material, titanium. It is more than 50% harder than the aluminium of the predecessor, and the S24 Ultra weighs exactly the same as before. The titanium is matte, so you see fewer fingerprints on it, and somehow I find this whole thing feels soft and cuddly. I mean, it's not as soft as a pillow, but it's as soft as metal can get. I think it's a shame that the rings around the camera aren't also made out of titanium. I think it's good that the cameras are as discreet as possible. Oppo, Huawei or Xiaomi, they all now have a pizza-sized camera element on the back, and I don't like this trend. In addition to black, yellow and purple, there is a titanium color. It's a warm gray and it resembles to the iPhone 15 Pro. Both devices feel so similar in hand that it feels like they are almost from the same manufacturer. The S24 Ultra is the first smartphone with the new Gorilla Glass armor. This is 4 times more resistant to drops and scratches than before, and there are tests actually backing that. Regular smartphones scratch on a Mohs scale from 6 to 7 and this one on 7 to 8. But my highlight on the whole S24 Ultra is that the glass has 75% less reflections. And you can clearly tell. The display is simply always deep inky black. It's at a level where I start to wonder how I could be happy with older phone glass in the past, and I wish that every manufacturer installs Gorilla Glass armor in the future. The display is 6.8 inch in size and has an ultra sharp Quad HD Plus resolution with 1 to 120 Hz refresh rate, and it gets a maximum of 2600 nits of brightness. Although there are slightly brighter displays out there, I think this is the best on the market, and I can tell you why. It makes the black levels of OLED look even deeper and the contrast even richer, and the colors shine like never before. There are no curves on the side, the display is now flat. I never had something against curved displays, but of course I'm still very pleased by the thin bezels all around, and yeah, they are really extremely thin. The display can still support the S Pen, and as luck would have it, there is one at the bottom in the device. Nonetheless, it's waterproof for 30 minutes at a depth of 1.5 meters. The S Pen enables more precise drawing. You can use it to write directly on the always on display and pin the notes there, and you can use the button as a shutter release and gesture control for the camera. Of course, this is all very practical, and especially in the winter I do like to use the S Pen with my gloves on. But when you look at how much space it takes up in the device, I wonder if more battery or a thinner device wouldn't be better than the S Pen, which is used by very few people. The software of the Galaxy S24 Ultra is like an all-you-can-eat buffet. You know, everyone will find something they like, but there's this one corner no one will really touch. And this time around, they got really inspired by Apple. The widgets on the customizable lock screen, the always-on display that continues to show the background image, the quick settings that look less like pure Android and more like iOS. It goes even so far that they force you to use their services, like Apple does, with Samsung Pay instead of Google Pay, or they want the Samsung keyboard instead of the Google keyboard. And I do have some of my passwords inside of my Google account, and they cannot be accessed here. I have to use the Samsung solution for that. I myself don't think Samsung has the most beautiful or intuitive software, but in terms of the sheer amount of features, probably no one can fool them. At least now with all of the artificial intelligence. It's everywhere. You can enhance photos, straighten them, and the missing content is calculated around them. You can mark things and move them around. Long web pages or PDFs can be summarized immediately. Just a few words can turn into a whole polite mail that is formatted. You can get translations directly in the keyboard or even live in phone calls. And no matter where, thanks to Circle to Search, you can directly access Google Lens. Many of the AI features are offline, but some of them are online and they are working on the Google Gemini server. So Samsung is paying for them until 2025, so the end of 2025. And after that, we don't really know. Maybe you will need to pay for the features. But it's also very likely that more AI will come in the future because the S24 Ultra will get an incredible 7 years of software upgrades. That is so long that if you have a child right now, it will be in second grade when this device gets the latest update. And one of the reasons why this is possible is the processor, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 in the slightly faster Samsung edition. I can only say good things about this processor. It's incredibly powerful, super efficient, hardly gets warm, it supports ray tracing and its graphics unit is significantly more powerful than the one of the iPhone 15 Pro. All of the hybrid artificial intelligence is only possible because the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 was designed for it from the start. The battery size is still the same. It's 5000 mAh, but the battery life was greatly improved. I got 7 to 8 hours of screen on time and I was never able to empty this device before I was going to sleep. I usually had 40 to 50% of battery left at the evening. That's better than the Pixel 8 Pro for sure and the iPhone 15 Pro Max even and current Xiaomi devices. And you could be satisfied with that, but I was kept thinking of 3 days of battery life if Samsung would left out the S Pen and used a more modern battery technology as in the Honor Magic V2. Because the device lasts very long, you rarely need fast charging, but if you are in need, the S24 Ultra charges relatively slowly in 75 minutes. I wish it was twice as fast. G2 wireless charging is built in now, which enables faster and cooler charging with the right charger. Unfortunately, however, there are no magnets built in, and that's a missed opportunity in my eyes. There's one reason why you pay a little bit extra on your next smartphone, and that is the camera. And this phone has 4 of them. A 12 megapixel ultra wide angle with autofocus and macro mode and an f2.2 aperture, a large 200 megapixel main sensor with an f1.7 aperture, a small 10 megapixel sensor with an 3x zoom and f.4 aperture, a brand new 50 megapixel 5x zoom with an f3.4 aperture, and let's go through them in order. The ultra wide angle has a very nice field of view. You can fit everything in there no matter how big it is. It is nice and sharp during the day, but in the dark you lose some details despite the night mode. This is completely normal and I would say the quality is on par with the iPhone 15 Pro and Pixel 8 Pro. I almost forgot about the 200 megapixel main sensor because you really don't notice the resolution. Normally 12.5 megapixel photos are taken. Only if you select 200 megapixel you can enjoy the sharpest smartphone photos on the market. The size is 30 megabytes though. I would love to see photos taken with 25 megapixel as a standard, so you would have a better balance out of file size and sharpness. Because at the moment 200 megapixel feels a little bit useless, although it could actually be pretty cool. The close focus is quite good. I have to say that because the iPhone's close focus just sucks, and I find the colors, the general look and the contrast very pleasing. The photos look lively and especially food, people and nature looks great with it. The 3x zoom is an angle I like to use, but unfortunately it's the blurriest camera of the bunch with the worst contrast. I wonder if Samsung could just leave it out because the 200 megapixel sensor is very good at digital cropping. And now there is a new 5x zoom. It replaces the 10x camera of the predecessor, and this sounds like a downgrade at first, but I compared the two and I would say the difference at 10x is hardly noticeable. Sometimes the old one looks sharper, sometimes the new one. The changes are more noticeable in poor lighting. I had of course hoped for a new camera that is even better, but only below 10x that is the case. So at 5x, 6x, 7x and so on. The difference is quite clear. If we make the comparison to the Pixel 8 Pro and the iPhone 15 Pro Max, the S24 Ultra actually looks the most detailed despite having the worst aperture. Videos are possible in 4K or 8K and they look pretty good. The stabilization prevents shaking quite good. You can also use artificial intelligence to calculate a slow motion, which also looks amazingly good. I like the selfie camera because it has a natural and sharp look. You also use the full image quality in Instagram or Snapchat, only the zoom looks not as smooth as on the iPhone. All in all, the camera of the S24 Ultra is on par with Google and Apple. Only a few smartphones have a better ultra-wide angle or zoom, but their camera element is also many times larger and you can only buy them in Asia. A complex smartphone needs a complex conclusion, and here it is. I say this is the Trojan horse, but on the opposite around. It doesn't look like an outdoor smartphone, but it behaves like one. It doesn't look like a gaming smartphone, but it technically is one. It does not have a 10x lens, but it has something better, a better 5x lens. The battery is the same size, but the battery life is actually better, and the AI is called Galaxy AI, but in truth it's a Google AI. So the truth is always a little bit better with this phone than it might seem at the first glance. I do think that the Galaxy S24 Ultra is the best overall flagship phone right now, and it is quite expensive. It's 1,450 euros at launch, but there are 7 years of upgrades, so that's quite a lot actually, and quite fair at the end. It's still not for me. I don't like the software and the shape and the size of the device. It's just a little bit too much for me, but I will miss the screen, the battery life, and that awesome Gorilla Glass armor. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.